He's had 17 goals coming off the really impressive freshman season as well. Had 19 goals a year ago, but talked about the injury Sunday. Not sure if we will see her come in as a substitute tonight, but she is not in the starting 11 for the Fighting Irish, who are playing for the chance to be the #1 seed in the ACC Women's Soccer Championship. And Notre Dame has not clinched a share of the ACC regular season crown since 2016. So a lot of possibilities for the Irish here tonight. A lot of goals they can achieve if they can pick up a win here at Pittsburgh. Panthers are in the black kits here tonight for their final game of the season. Notre Dame in all white. And told you a little bit about the scenarios in the Open. Notre Dame and Stanford tied atop the conference. Stanford is up big on Cal currently, so Notre Dame needs to win here to get the #1 seed in the conference and get that share of the ACC regular season crown. Anything less will almost certainly at this point give the top seed to the Stanford Cardinal. That game is 3-0 Stanford over Cal at the half. Top 2 teams in the country, top 2 teams in the ACC. And of course, the format of the ACC Women's Soccer Championship awards a first-round bye to the top 2 teams, and then the remaining 4 will square off in the quarterfinals that begin on Sunday. Nate Norman really proud of the year his Notre Dame team has had, but knows that there's still a lot of work left to do if they want to achieve the goals they set out at the beginning of the season. Not exactly ideal conditions tonight in Pittsburgh. 50 degrees. Rain has been on and off here on the night before Halloween. But, Rachel, when you get into late October, that's what you expect here with Pittsburgh soccer.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that we started the month in the 70s now, Jason. But, yeah, no, good to see Pitt already getting up into the attacking half. It can be very daunting playing the #1 ranked team in the nation, and of course a team that has just been so busy on offense. Pitt really looking to play spoiler here. There's really nothing for the Panthers to lose. It's just building on the last couple of games, and I know that's awkward to say with a couple losses in their belt, but as Ben Waldron had told us and really hearkened on, we are improving. They're always competing for 90 minutes. There's never a stop.
Well, we talked in the Open about how the Panthers have improved over the last few games, and specifically if you look at Sunday, they went to Virginia, #3 team in the country. They lost 2-0, but one of those goals, a bit of a fluke, came off an Cavalier corner kick that grazed the leg of Lucia Wells and went into the Panthers' net. And you take that away. Panthers also had a penalty kick that was saved by Virginia, and so a lot of opportunities that Pitt had to get a result on the road against the #3 team in the country. So certainly some signs of improvement throughout the year for Pitt. And like you said, Rachel, nothing to lose tonight. You get the opportunity to see what Ben Waldron's team can do against the #1 team in the land with nothing to lose.
Yeah, and as we said in the Open, now it's about what can you carry into next season? What can you build upon? Of course, one of the building blocks certainly going to be Katie Ellermeyer. She has been stand out her freshman year, leading the team with 6 goals, has been constantly ranked towards the top when you're looking at freshmen in D1, not just in the ACC. But that is certainly a piece that you want to build off of.
Joseph touches outside of her foot out to a running Morgan Roy on the far side. Roy sends a ball in, grazes the head of Lee, and going to be kept in here by Tessa Knapp. Knapp working on Archibald. Now Matriano, left-footed strike into the arms of Abby Rice, who makes her first save of the night.
Yeah, and this play starts really back with Morgan Roy finding the open player and getting the ball up. Abby Rice, of course, finishing with collecting the ball, but Morgan Roy is one of my favorite players to watch on this Notre Dame team. She has 7 assists, and she is just really one of the cogs that makes the engine work.
Stelzer providing service that time from the right flank for Pitt. Bit of a new spot for her there. Ben Waldrum perhaps experimenting late in the season with his positioning. Lucia Wells has, for most of this year, been on the attacking wing for the Panthers, but she's also been capable of playing outside back, which is where she's been for the past couple games. So Sunday, Wells was at left back. That's where she finds herself tonight, and allows Stelzer to move up and have a chance at playing in an offensive role on the right wing for the Panthers. Offside flag is up. Looked like it was Hodgson, number 10 in white, the offside offender there for the Irish. Officials tonight: Nicole Green in the center, Jake Brochu, Ross Kleinstuber, the ARs. It was interesting hearing Nate Norman's perspective on the matchup. He said he's always leery of teams that are far better than their record shows. He believes that's what this Pitt team is. They compete in just about every game and have been unlucky in certain instances this season. Nate Norman certainly not overlooking the Panthers here on the final night of the regular season. Knapp crosses a ball in. Hodgson chests it down and now pops out for Joseph, blocked by Gagne. And the Panthers clear the danger, at least for now.
Yeah, not only do you want to not overlook the Panthers, but I bet Notre Dame wasn't really expecting these weather conditions in a game where you need to score goals to win, and certainly that adds an extra element for the Fighting Irish tonight. That ball is going to whip, as you saw. It's going to have all kinds of movement tonight.
Cross sent in and too much on it, but Hodgson going to try and chase it down. Some pressure coming from Dabo. And out for the Notre Dame throw. Yeah, all kinds of different factors that can come into play with the weather, Rachel. It can, in some ways, make it more difficult to score, but in others can challenge the keeper a little bit more than it normally would as well.
Yeah, both goalkeepers, I'm sure they looked at their weather apps today and groaned.
Yeah.
You know,
the gloves can only do so much.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. At that point, it's just barehand it, really. I mean, it just like you said, the added elements and the layers to this game, it's already a must-win for Notre Dame, and then you add in the heavy rain pour and also, too, playing on the road. Certainly, right. You know, it's a challenge by any means.
And Sophie Rourke, as we talk about the challenges of the weather, makes you wonder, Rachel, in a normal game, would she concede that for a throw instead of a corner? But it does give Notre Dame their first corner kick of the night, the #1 team in the country, with an opportunity here just about 8 minutes in at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Out swinging ball. Rice comes out, knocks it down, and secures it. Corner was taken by Matriano for Notre Dame. Great throw, and Stelzer's off to the races. One-on-one with Klenke, but felt the pressure coming. A couple more Irish defenders were catching up. And ends in the arms of Sonoma Kasika. Told you about Rice, the Panther keeper. Well, Kasika is the sophomore goalkeeper for Notre Dame. Kasika won the starting job about halfway through last season in her freshman year and has not looked back. Has been the go-to keeper for the Irish ever since that midway point of last year, and creates an exciting matchup here tonight. Rice really becoming the main keeper for the Panthers early on in this season. So two players that have embraced the starting role and have some really good moments to show for it over the past few weeks this season. Nice switch of the field there from Chukwu, distributing to the far side for Roy. Lucia Wells gets in the way and gets some help from Abraham. Now Codd lofts the ball in. Gagne heads it away. Matriano with some room has a strike. And too much on it. No deflection. That's out for a Pitt goal kick.
Yeah, usually I think I'd sit here and say, why is Gagne heading it towards the middle of the pitch and not outside? But really, if she would have headed it outside, for Notre Dame, you have number 11, Knapp, waiting right there. She gets the ball and she can send it right back into play, but not too much Gagne could do with that one.
Rachel, I'll tell you what, our crew taking all these tight shots. It's just a reminder, every camera cut, I am glad to be in here instead of out there, huh?
Yeah, we have a pretty great crew, as always, and certainly braving the elements tonight.
So Nate Norman with the hood up on the Notre Dame bench. There's Jeff Kolchar. Grateful for all our camera operators here tonight. Jim Kreischer. These guys have worked just about all season out here, but they will be relieved to know that this is the last game of the season here at Pitt. No more outdoor, at least women's soccer here at Ambrose Urbanic Field. They get to move inside, do some volleyball perhaps after this. There's Randy Waldrum bundled up.
Oh, come on, Randy, you've been in Pittsburgh long enough. You know better.
Gives you a lot of respect for soccer players, huh? It really doesn't matter how much rain there is. It's just about thunder and lightning.
You know, I have to say it. There was a game maybe a year or two ago where my husband was sitting in the stands, and he was the only person in the stands during a downpour. And he said, if they can play in it, I can sit in it. Well, he was sick 2 days later, so hopefully these ladies have a different outcome than him.
I hope so.
I mean, just look at the movement of the ball, too, Jason. Like, short passes are going to be a lot faster tonight. And I think Notre Dame and Pitt are both kind of testing the field and figuring out what the movement of the ball is going to look like right now.
Nice 1-2 there between Abraham and Ellermeyer. Archibald to the outside for Stelzer. One-on-one with Knapp. Cross set in. Archibald couldn't quite get behind it, and Matriano clears it to her teammate Hodgson. Good effort from Hodgson to keep it in. Pressure from behind from Dabo. Hodgson through ball to Chukwu. Flag stays down from the far side. Chukwu working on Lee. Rourke comes in to support and makes the tackle and also keeps the ball in play.
That's another player that coming into the next couple of years, that's another player for Pitt that you're going to want to build around. But look at this effort from Hodgson. Again, just battling the elements and able to keep that ball in place and really dodging a couple tackles there from Mariama Dabo, but being able to stay on her feet and keep that ball in play for Notre Dame.
Well, like you said, especially tonight, the ball's going to skip a lot faster on the turf. Matriano looking for Hodgson, and Rice watches it trail out for the goal kick. So Ellie Hodgson makes her first start of the season tonight. She plays a lot for Notre Dame, averaging about 35 minutes a game, but without Izzy Engel, they turn to the sophomore Hodgson, coming off an ACC all-freshman team year a season ago, part of what was a really impressive freshman class for Notre Dame last year, and now sophomore class that has improved their game even more. You saw the 34 combined goals between Hodgson, Engel, and Chukwu. Just very impressive stuff from Notre Dame. And Rachel, it gives you the thought that for Nate Norman's side, if it doesn't happen this year in terms of winning the ACC, College Cup, national title, they're going to have 2 more tries coming up after this.
Well, and it's like you said as well, too, their goalkeeper's a sophomore. They have a lot of players that not only are the present right now, but also the future.
Chukwu snuffed out by Lee, but not out of the woods yet. Klenke sends the ball in. Stelzer might have gotten hit on the hand there on the shot from Klenke, and that's the other factor with the cold weather. Everything going to sting a little bit more. You can tell with Notre Dame, Rachel, as much as they've been the leaders in possession so far, it's not quite as fluid as it usually is when the weather is a bit more tame.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that goes back to getting those passes connected and just kind of building up that possession and getting some confidence with the ball in these conditions. But I think also in this game, although the clock only says 29, it's a must win for Notre Dame. So no matter what minute, no matter what, half, there's going to be that added pressure of needing to find that goal.
And an update from the West Coast is that Cal added a goal against Stanford, so perhaps a late comeback could be orchestrated by the Golden Bears. But remember, if Stanford wins, they will be at 28 points on the season. Notre Dame's at 25, so the Irish would need to win here against Pitt to clinch that share of the ACC title, and in doing so, get the #1 seed in the ACC championship next week. Handball called on the attack there from Morgan Roy. That's going to stall things for the Irish. Now you see the stakes there for Notre Dame. There is an interesting twist here, Rachel. If Stanford had tied, which again, Cal scored, if they can add 2 more, Notre Dame would still need the win at Pitt. Due to the tie-breaking criteria, if they both tied, they'd both be at 26 points, but due to the results against common opponents, Stanford would actually have the edge over Notre Dame. So doesn't look like the Stanford Cardinal are going to concede a tie there, but if that were to happen, Notre Dame would still need the win. So in a way, the Irish just focused on this game here tonight and finding a way to get ahead here on Pitt.
Yeah, most leagues in the United States really go by goal differential, but college soccer is a bit different, going by head-to-head first, and then I believe there's like 2 or 3 other pieces of criteria, and then you get to goal differential. So it's a little bit different at the college level.
Ask Nate Norman about his team this year, if he felt that maybe they were different in terms of what they could achieve. And again, it would be that goal differential, the third tiebreaker, that would give Notre Dame the edge over Stanford if they both win. However, if they tie, it would go to that common opponents as Hodgson is on. Rice comes out. Collision right around the penalty mark. Now out to Chukwu. No whistle. Chukwu strikes off the bar. Rice dove for it and now popped out from Wells. Notre Dame not relenting. And Rourke able to get it out to Wild. And a handball, I think, called on Margaret Wild. Notre Dame will have a free kick just about 30 yards out and right in the center of the field.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of rules in place that protect the goalkeeper, but I'm a little surprised that there wasn't a whistle there, to be honest with you. Rice putting her body out there, but then off the crossbar, it's a game of inches. And now they have a free kick, Notre Dame, in a pristine spot.
Chukwu discussing with Matriano. Meanwhile, Rice lining up her wall. Approaching 20 minutes into this ACC battle on the final night of the regular season. Annabelle Chukwu going to line it up. Notre Dame not playing any tricks. Chukwu the only one behind the ball. About 5 in the wall for the Panthers. Kick from Chukwu. Diving stop by Rice.
Big stop here from Abby Rice to deny Chukwu, but now immediately has to turn it back on because Notre Dame has a corner kick.
And a great play made by the Pitt keeper. Lined up her wall perfectly. Able to make the diving save. You said it, the pressure does not stop coming. Out swinging corner kick comes in. Rice goes up for it, headed again by Wild for the Panthers, and pops up. Stelzer chasing it for Pitt, and it's out of play. Notre Dame throw. But another chance staved off by the Panthers. 6 shots on the night for Notre Dame, but Abby Rice has been very good in goal, and the defense has been strong. Abraham poked away by Joseph. Now it's Knapp. Looking for Chukwu in the center. Couldn't seem to find her as Dabo takes over. I was about to mention Nate Norman, his assessment of this team this year, if he felt like they have a different team this year that's built to make the deep run, get to the College Cup, one thing he has not done in his tenure at Notre Dame. And he said he really feels like they've had teams that were capable of it. And Ellermeyer going to strike, get it blocked there, but said that they fell short for one reason or another in the past. They've been to the national quarterfinal 2 of the last 3 seasons. And you get to this point of the year right before postseason play, you hope that you can just string enough wins together to make that run to the College Cup. He thinks he's got the talent on this team to do it. Notre Dame #1 in the country. As probable as just about anybody to make that run and maybe bring home a national championship.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note too, we talked about Engel and her injury in the open, but she did have cleats on during the pregame, and she was warming up. If I had to guess, we probably won't see her tonight. I don't think this is a game that you need to play her, save her for the playoffs and for that run for the College Cup. But I think a big part of Notre Dame is Engel, and if you can get her back for the NCAA tournament, the ACC and the NCAA tournament, I mean, that would be huge for Notre Dame.
Ellermeyer up to Stelzer. Cross comes in and it's blocked. The Panthers will earn their first corner kick of the night. Stelzer giving them good work on that right flank, and it leads to an opportunity here. Margaret Wild, 16 for the Panthers, having a career season in her 4th year with the team. 3 goals this year for Wild to go with 4 assists. In-swinging ball with the left foot. Over the keeper, but headed away there. Well defended by Abby Mills. Looked like she got a head on it for the Irish, and no trouble. Yeah, Rachel, to your point, it makes you wonder, if you try and go inside the head of Nate Norman there, how much weight do you put on the ACC regular season title, the ACC tournament, all these different accolades that you could achieve? But if you think about it, they've already clinched that first round bye. Do you just rest on that and maybe concede getting the top seed if it means you can keep Izzy Engel a little bit healthier going into that tournament?
Yeah, because I think that's the big question. When we get to, potentially the last, 20, 25 minutes of this game and the score still remains deadlocked, that gives him a really big question. What do you do? Do you put her in? Do you rely more on your bench players, get some other fresh legs in? That's the big question. And to be honest with you, I think saving her for the ACC tournament is probably the best call. Give her some rest. We know from doing this for a long time that the college season is so brutal with Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. It is just, it's constant, wear and tear on these ladies and their bodies. And so any extra rest that you can give a player, especially a player that has just put out that type of output this season, you're going to want to give it to her.
Well, and on the year they have 52 goals, which ranks 4th in the country. And I can tell you not all of them came from Izzy Engel. Even though 17 of them have, they've had a number of other contributors in the goal department. And so you start to look to those other options. Annabelle Chukwu, Ellie Hodsden, Lainey Matriano, and all the other players that have contributed to this Notre Dame offense on the season. As they make a substitution here, insert Grace Restovich, who's another one who
leads the team in assists.
Excellent distributor, like you said. So no Engel, but certainly other sources of offense for Notre Dame that they'll look to.
And I think Chukwu is knocking. She's had some really good opportunities, of course. Best one being that free kick saved by Rice, but Chukwu is knocking. She is putting in a good shift so far. Really
good tackle made by Archibald. Stelzer trying to turn it into a counterattack, but lost it out of play. And the tackle from Klenke, but Tessa Knapp on the ball, and Archibald comes in and makes a really nice play.
Mya Archibald's one of those players that has that Canadian youth national team experience, and certainly has learned a lot through her time with Canada and also during her season here at Pitt. But she's been a nice addition to that defense.
Nice move by Chukwu. Lee hustling back, swarmed by Panthers, and they come away with it. Archibald, one of those players, Rachel, that Ben Waldron talked about, just in terms of players that improved since the start of the season, got used to being in the ACC. Of course, this is her first year at Pitt. She transferred in from Illinois after a couple seasons there, and especially on that back line, this is a team that earlier in the year was allowing 6 goals to Stanford, 4 to SMU, and you see the improvement that they've made. They just went to Virginia, a top 5 team in the country, and only let in 2.
Yeah, I think the improvement from the defense has been really good this season. And, you know, it all starts, of course, with your captain, Olivia Lee. And, you know, keep in mind that this defense is also dealing with a changing goalkeeper as well. So they're getting used to Abby Rice and having her calling, you know, different formations and movements around them. I brought her up earlier. Sophie Rourke is another player that you're going to want to build this team around. I think she has done an excellent job with the injury to Katie Zalesky this year, kind of stepping into not just a role, but really a big role. A big role. And, you know, that made Olivia Lee have to step up as a leader. And I think, you know, let's be honest, she had some early season struggles, but she has rebounded really nicely. And I truly think that Olivia is a lot more confident as the season goes on with being a leader as well.
Yeah, lots of improvements from the entire back line for Pitt. And they're put to the test here. A little miscommunication perhaps from Notre Dame on the through ball attempt. But I remember a conversation with Ben Waldron early in the season, Rachel. We said, hey, what did you think of Olivia Lee's performance? We thought she looked good the other night, and he said, I'm going to be honest with you guys, we need more out of her. And like you said, the injury to Katie Zalesky puts her into a really important spot there as the team captain and center back for the Panthers, but she has developed a lot over the course of the year in terms of her skill and how she's going to lead this Pitt team.
And you still have another year with Olivia Lee, and I think that only helps her. You know, she's been on some very successful teams, and then this year, of course, not the season that Pitt wanted to have. So now you kind of have that blend that you learned from the mistakes, and you improve as it goes on. But I don't think it can be understated how much. I mean, this is a back line that not only lost Katie Zalesky, but, you know, in the last couple of years, Ashton Gordon as well. Some real leaders on this team. And I think Olivia Lee has stepped up to the plate very admirably.
So the openings just haven't quite been there for Notre Dame so far tonight. They do have 7 shots, 2 corner kicks, 2 of those shots on goal, but still scoreless here at Ambrose Urbanic Field. And meanwhile, the Stanford Cardinal have added one more. That lead is now 4-1 over Cal, which means that it's just about a certainty that the Irish are going to need a win here in Pittsburgh in order to get that share of the ACC regular season title and be the 1 seed in the ACC tournament. The Irish and the Cardinal, the 2 teams that have certainly separated themselves in the conference. To get a strike here from distance, Abraham and Ellermeyer working on the outside, but easy work for Kasica.
It's almost like the ACC is a pretty good conference.
I'll say, huh? It's usually a question every year, will they get double-digit teams into the tournament? It's often the case. You're having that discussion late in the season. It's not, will the ACC get some teams in? It's how many will the ACC get in?
Well, we were talking about, you know, the standings earlier before we even jumped on air, and how Clemson is ranked 25 in the nation, and in the ACC they're in 11th place.
Yeah. Parity of the league is incredible, and year in, year out, the best conference in the sport. Ben Waldron said that if they were in any other power conference, he thinks they'd be in the middle of the pack fighting for a conference tournament spot. But when this is the league you're in, and Pitt has gotten a brutal schedule this year. They have faced Notre Dame, Stanford, Virginia, Duke. So 4 of the teams there on that list, and makes life pretty difficult when you're facing 4 top 15 teams, Rachel.
Yeah, it's certainly not a easy league. It's not for the faint of heart, and that's why you try to bring in the best of the best, no matter what team you're on.
Abraham trying to switch it, finds Archibald. Archibald strikes, and I think it was deflected there, and it was. Out for a corner kick, no. Ruled a goal kick, and the Panthers are asking for that deflection, but they're not going to get it. And that looked pretty clear to me, Rachel, that this ricocheted off the Irish defender there. It was Charlie Codd sliding in. Tough to tell, but...
Yeah, that's a really... It's really tight. Yeah. I see the argument for both sides, to be honest with you. That's kind of one of those calls that you just got to flip a coin and stick with your gut if you're the referee.
Right. So it is out for a goal kick off the shot from Archibald. One of the better Panther chances we have seen here in tonight's match. And a game Notre Dame has been the better team so far, but again, not looking as fluid as the #1 team in the country typically does. Haven't been able to connect the passes and generate that Notre Dame offense that is one of the best in the country.
Well, now all of a sudden, Pitt has them pinned pretty deep in their defensive side. And it's nice to see Pitt moving the numbers up. It can be so easy. I mean, Notre Dame has a really good counterattack to leave 3, 4, 5 players toward the back. There's a couple players hanging around midfield, but for the most part, the numbers are up. Even Mariel Madabo, who is usually sits pretty deep, was in the attack there.
Grazed off the head of Klenke there. Stelzer, a nice touch to get to the inside. Stelzer crosses over, and Kasica came out. Did she get a hand on it? Referee says no, but Stelzer and the Panthers stringing some things together offensively here.
Yeah, Stelzer has been so much fun to watch this year, and this is why. Just the confidence to be able to take that touch, get it past the defender. Margaret Wild was just a hair off of getting that into a tap-in for opening goal.
And you can see why Ben Waldron likes having Sage Stelzer on the right wing. He told us that he thinks she gives them a little bit more service from the wide areas, and really nice ball there, just inches away from a Panther. And they're putting some things together here late in the first half.
Goes back to Nate Norman's point that you can't overlook your opponent, especially not in this conference. It doesn't matter who you play.
That's exactly what he told us. This Pitt team is a team that has nothing to lose, and that is very concerning to him. And again, said that he feels they're way better than their record shows. That record for the Panthers, 5-10-2 on the season, just 1-8 in ACC play. But based on tonight's first half, they certainly do in fact look better than that record shows, and they are not making things easy for the Irish. And Rachel, a lot of the first half in Notre Dame's favor, but you said it. I mean, the last close to 10 minutes here, the ball's been on the right side of the field. The Panthers getting the better of the chances.
Yeah, I think if the score remains deadlocked here at 0-0, Pitt's going to go into the locker room the happier of the two sides.
Absolutely.
And I think this Pitt team is playing as a team that they know that they've improved in the last few games. And as Norman said, as you know, Ben Waldron has said, and any of us will tell you, I don't think the record quite indicates what the Panthers have done this season. But they are playing with a lot more confidence than they were toward the middle of the season.
Ben Waldrum said he's most disappointed for the players. He and the coaching staff have been able to deal with it, but said there hasn't been that result for them to prove that they're getting better. Sometimes you can tell them as much as you want from a coaching standpoint, hey, it may not seem like it, but you are getting better. And sometimes when you have that result to back it up, it helps from a mental standpoint. But he believes that they're really not that far off from some of the best teams in the country. And I think the 2-0 loss to Virginia showed that a little bit, but sometimes just helps to get that draw or that win against a big-time opponent that really reaffirms what you believe your team can be.
Yeah, and I think in the last couple weeks, the moment that kind of you just have to say, man, can't they just get one, is that penalty against Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, that for me, that's how you sum up the Panther season. Is it's right there and the work is there, and you earn that penalty against now I believe what the number 5 or the 7, I can't remember off the top of my head, team in the country. And it just a save, you know, it's just been a frustrating season, but again, lots of improvement, and how can you take this into next season?
All right, Panthers very frustrated about this call here, and you can see why. Looked like Gagne got all ball there. Matriano maybe just tripped and went down. Fans here at Ambrose Urbanic Field were not pleased. You could see Ben Waldrum maybe read his lips, telling the center referee that that was the wrong call. Certainly looked like he was right based on the replay that we saw, and especially when you are playing well against the #1 team in the country, you've got some momentum. Hate to see calls go against you like that. And again, the center referee giving that one to Notre Dame. Panthers have 4 fouls called on them tonight, and the Irish with 2 as Sophia Doney checks in for Margaret Weil.
And I think that this has been a physical game. And as a referee, you have to decide, are you going to make all of the calls? Are you going to make some of the calls? Are you not? Are you just going to let them play? And for a referee, you have to be consistent across the board.
And again, the center official tonight is Nicole Green. And she has the responsibility of officiating what's become a very important game here on the final night in the ACC. And Rachel, how these upset alerts work is the later it gets, when the score stays the same, the more eyes start to turn their televisions to Notre Dame and Pitt, especially if you're out in Palo Alto. You're a Stanford fan wondering if you're going to get that ACC regular season title, #1 seed. The Cardinal fans are liking what they're seeing here in Pittsburgh tonight. Another foul called against the Panthers, and you can see Nicole Green almost shrugging her arms as the Panthers fighting the call once again. But that will mark the 5th foul against Pitt on the night. Went against Ellermeyer, and Notre Dame looking to set up that offense once again. Doney, great defensive play. Trying to beat Mills, and Mills recovers alongside help from Claire Logan. But the Panthers disrupting a Notre Dame team that typically is so consistent in the way they possess the ball.
Yeah, great heads up from Sophia Doney, who literally just came in the game, by the way, but she was about to be a Doney sandwich as Claire Logan was coming in and kind of tightening the gap there. But talk about heads up, substituting in not even a minute ago and making a big play already.
Gagne looking for Doney again, and coming out to get it is Kasica, and Doney tripped up in a foot race there with Abby Mills again. Panthers getting a bit of a spark since the insertion of Sophia Doney to the top of the formation.
She's a player that had a couple injury woes, a couple weeks out early into the season, but ever since she's been back, she's kind of been that super sub coming in the last 10, 15 minutes of each half, really, for the Panthers. She's somebody that can give you fresh legs. She's tall, which always helps on set pieces.
And sub made for Notre Dame, Annabelle Chukwu, their leading active goal scorer with the 11. Again, Izzy Engel, we have not seen her tonight with her 17 goals on the season, so they bring in Meg Mrawicki. Now Stelzer working on Klenke. Couple ricochets, and Klenke smartly shields it out of play. But the referee awards a corner to the Panthers. So wasn't sure who touched that last. The official says it was off Notre Dame, and now the Irish are up in arms about the call. One more look here. And that's another tough one.
I think
Referee's
Klenke does
job
have an
not easy
argument.
tonight.
Yeah, Klenke does have an argument there for sure. But yeah, certainly giving the center referee her work cut out for her.
Corner will come from Magali Gagne. Out swinging ball, hit with the right foot, punched away by Kasica. And Wells drops it back to Ellermeyer. Big strike from distance and just wide. I like the confidence from the freshman there, stepping up and trying it from deep.
Why not in these conditions? Test out the goalkeeper, and maybe the wind will blow your way as well.
Chance here for Codd. Rourke and Lee recover for the Panthers. And the clearance made. Notre Dame has been able to get forward a handful of times, but each instance the Panthers, with some impressive defensive plays, to snuff things out. Now a shot from Joseph that deflected. Here's Klenke. Notre Dame picking up the pace a bit here towards the end of the half. But Archibald shielding away. Klenke concedes the throw. That's 28 in black. Ellie Rollins for the Panthers, new to the game as well. Rollins checked in about 5 minutes ago. Hannah Minot also in for the first time, 17 on that far side.
Tell you what, this is one of the more lively games from the Pitt bench as well. They are certainly feeling it, as well as the players on the field, the confidence that they're just playing right now. A lot of talking and a lot of cheering from that side. Notre Dame side is a little bit more quiet.
Well, there really is a lot to be said about that nothing to lose mentality, Rachel.
Sure.
It's not to say that they don't want to play more soccer. Obviously, they'd love to be playing in the ACC tournament, but when you have the grind of an ACC season and you can go into a game telling yourselves, after tonight, the season's over. We have to give everything left that we have into this game, and then the season's done. It creates a different kind of approach, and Ben Waldrom's team is affecting the game tonight with that type of mindset.
Well, and if you think about it too, the last home win this year was August 21st against Ohio. So to be able, even a draw at home, to be able to have that type of, you always want to finish strong, right? And you want to take positives going into next season. And I mean, this whole entire first half, I mean, this is probably one of the more complete first halves that we've seen Pitt play this year, especially at home. And so to be able to have that type of confidence against the #1 ranked team in the country, by the way, that's only going to make them feel good in the second half. And quite frankly, I think if anybody's going to be cursing halftime, it's going to be Pitt.
And a ball misjudged there by Notre Dame, out for a Panther corner kick. Just a mistake you haven't often seen from this Fighting Irish team. Confusion in the back there between Grace Restovich and the keeper, Sonoma Kasica, and gives the Panthers their third corner kick of the night. Inside a minute in this first half, Magali Gagne will take the in-swinging ball. Sends it near post, not quite enough on it. Easy work for Charlie Codd to make the clearance.
Good job for Pitt to keep the ball in play on their side. The last thing you want to do after playing such a strong first half, and they need to be careful here, is to give up a goal right before you go into the locker room.
Ellermeyer running on against Restovich, and another Panther corner kick. Can they get over quick enough to take it? Ellermeyer hustling to the corner. One opportunity, 10 seconds remaining for Pitt. Ball sent in, it's got a chance, and headed up. Rollins gets a piece, and Joseph clears as we head to halftime. And Rachel, as these teams go to the locker rooms, all the momentum is with Pitt.
Yeah, certainly. I think Nate Norman's going to have to remember, sure if she was going to play tonight. She was warming up. She was in her cleats during the pregame for the last, 20, 15 minutes. The score remains deadlocked, or if, Pitt gets the lead, what do? Do you put her in, or do you leave her to rest knowing that, hey, you're already going to have a bye week. You're already locked in for the ACC tournament. Certainly, you'd have to think locked in for the NCAA tournament as well. What do you do?
It'll be so important to see how these teams come out to start the second half, set the tone for the rest of this matchup. Pitt had all the momentum going into the locker room, but can they carry some of that into the second half after the break? Wells and Ellermeyer, a little 1-2 on the left flank. And Calzada comes over to defend for Notre Dame. And throw given to the Irish. I know a couple Pitt fans didn't agree with that call either. The officials have been under a lot of pressure here tonight. Looked like Calzada cleared that, and officials said it was deflected by Pitt. That's why the throw went to the Irish. And a lot of calls that could have gone either way here tonight. And we stay scoreless as we begin the second half. Jason Earl, Rachel Palmer with you. So glad to have you join us for the final night of the ACC women's soccer regular season. And this really is a good example of the type of soccer you're getting in this league, Rachel. You just never know going into any given night what's going to take place.
The ACC is just truly the wild card of all the wild cards. Like you said, I mean, it is just easily, arguably, and I'd love to hear somebody else try to make an argument against the ACC not being the toughest conference in collegiate women's soccer.
Nate Norman trying to push the right buttons, find the right formula for his Notre Dame team. And you have to start wondering, obviously we've talked a lot about the weather, but how much of a factor is the loss of Izzy Engel? We knew going in that was going to affect this Notre Dame team. They are 4th in the country in goals on the season, but they have not scored a goal since Izzy Engel left the game Sunday against Wake Forest. That was a 1-1 tie for Notre Dame, and the one goal came from Engel before she left the match. And it's a Notre Dame team that has struggled to score in the last 90 or so minutes without her.
Which is kind of a crazy thing to think about, because Grace Restovich and Morgan Roy and Annabelle Chukwu, those are all players who have delivered the goods on offense for this team. It's just all of a sudden the engine has kind of stalled. And you saw just moments ago, Izzy Engel now wearing sneakers, so probably undoubtful that she gets in tonight. And to be honest with you, I think it's a smart move for Notre Dame. Yeah. Again, as we've mentioned previously, rest is so hard to come by in this just crazy busy collegiate soccer season. And for a player like this who, that was a foot injury, those take time. You want to get her as much rest as possible.
And a whistle there from the official. Looked like the Notre Dame team wanted a handball against Pitt. Instead, it's called against the Irish. Panthers will bring it out. And by the way, Stanford ended up as 8-2 winners over Cal. We get the offside there, but Cardinal making sure that they're going to get at least a share of the ACC regular season crown. They have now clinched that, but what is still left to be determined, will they be the 1 or the 2 seed in next week's ACC championship? They've guaranteed themselves that first round bye. They are on to the semifinal of the ACC tournament. And everything riding on this result tonight here between Notre Dame and Pitt.
Jasmine Akey in that Stanford game, Jason, the only player with multi-goals. So you have 7 goal scores, excuse me, from that Stanford game. Just, normal Stanford things, right?
What's amazing, you talk about a team like Stanford like that, but really you point to Stanford, Florida State, North Carolina, this Notre Dame team. They're all perennial powers in this conference. Sure. And it's not just one team. And that's why you end up in a scenario where North Carolina has to play till the last night to clinch a conference tournament spot. There are so many teams that are gunning for those positions, and as is the case just about every year, you're going to see more NCAA tournament teams from the ACC than you are ACC tournament teams. Morgan Roy working on Abraham. Big touch. That goes straight to Lucia Wells. Wells and Ellermeyer once again. Nice distribution between the two of them, but Wells gives it up. Didn't have a runner. And ends with Cassica.
I have to think Lucia Wells is going to have a pretty busy weekend. The North Allegheny alum, her high school team is playing in the high school championship tomorrow. So tonight you have her playing for Pitt, and surely tomorrow she's going to be in the stands watching her sister and her former team playing just down the road at Highmark Stadium.
Is that why Pitt's wearing the black and gold tonight, to support North Allegheny?
It might be. That one of the teams playing tonight is also black and gold. We've got the high school championships Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week. And so it's a busy soccer time in the city, but a lot of fun seeing the talent.
Stelzer, Ellermeyer nearly had a head on it. Excellent opportunity for the Panthers on a tremendous service in. Stelzer providing it for Pittsburgh, and Ellermeyer inches away from knocking one home for Pitt.
Yeah, speaking of young talent, there you go right there. Sage Stelzer to freshman Katie Ellermeyer, who has just been lethal this season, despite, the record or Pitt's woes on offense. Katie Ellermeyer leading the team with 6 goals this year, has been one of the top freshmen in the nation. Almost finds one there. How much confidence would that give a young player to score against the #1 team in the country?
And it just feels like she is due for a goal. Katie Ellermeyer mentioned that she had a penalty kick saved Sunday against Virginia, so has come very close to adding to that goal total. Ellermeyer with the 6 goals on the year, but has not scored since September. And Ben Waldron talked to us about her freshman season, a very impressive one, and she said that coaching staff really loved the way she played in non-conference, and you think to herself, we hope she looks similar against the top teams in the ACC, and he believes that she has. Even if the stats don't back it up, she maybe doesn't have the goal and assist output that she had in non-conference play, but against the ACC opponents, they feel they've gotten just as much fight out of her, and she's performed at a high level.
One of my favorite things about Katie Ellermeyer, too, is she's not afraid to get on defense and help out as well. And I'm sure you've stood next to her. She's tiny, but she has been able to make herself a big presence playing against some of these big, just stand out and just experienced teams.
Putting her name on a list with some very impressive Pitt freshmen, a couple over the last few years with Amanda West in 2019. Of course, the player that really put Pitt women's soccer on the map, and her and Sarah Shupansky led that 2023 team all the way to the national quarterfinal, and Ellermeyer in good company on that list. I like what Ben Waldron said. He said it gives him some ammo for his daughter's team to say, hey, you're the same size as her. Why can't you go out and do what she's doing?
Maybe got to get some training for the young Waldroms with Katie Ellermeyer. Keep her busy this offseason.
Right. She is a great example for anyone who's a bit undersized, young, thrown into the challenge of playing in the ACC. She has taken it in stride and then some.
And only as a freshman, right? She's only going to get better. You know, Amanda West got better after her freshman year. Sarah Shapansky, of course. Ton of players coming through this Pitt program, young and inexperienced, but have grown to become such lethal players around the ACC, and you know, have even gone on to have some professional careers as well.
On the far side, Tessa Knapp working on Archibald, trying to beat the Panther defender. Very well defended by the Illinois transfer Archibald, and ultimately cleared away by Sophie Rourke. And you can just see, Rachel, maybe plays that Panthers conceded to attacking players earlier in the season. They've got a little bit more toughness to them late here in the year. Chukwu up ahead on the big through ball. Working on Rourke. Touches it past, but Rice scoops it up. Chukwu was tripped up a little bit. And over 10 minutes into the second half, no team able to crack behind and find the one to break this game open. Margaret Wild off to the races, working on Calzada, crosses in, and Klinke was there for Notre Dame. Wild still pressing, and out for the goal kick. This Pitt team just not giving up.
Yeah, Wild looking for Sage Stelzer coming down there on a slanted run inside the box, but Klinke able to step in and make a play, and Klinke kind of shifting to a different position tonight, has been playing very well on defense. I don't know if she expected this type of pressure from the Pitt attack, but she has held her own.
Nate Norman loves what he gets out of Leah Klinke. The senior said that she's just so reliable, and they've played her in many different positions. Excellent 1v1 defender, but maybe even better at 1v1 attack scenarios. As here's Restovich, some pressure from Archibald, and Rice is there once again for the Panthers.
Something that stood out to me when we talked to Ben Waldrom this week is, despite the goal differential, despite the record, he said, you don't have to worry about Abby Rice lacking any sort of confidence. And I think she has certainly shown that tonight.
Wild left-footed strike, Kasica, the clean catch. Yeah, to your point on Rice, Rachel, it's easy in a season that the Panthers have had to blame the keeper, right? And that can happen when you're struggling to win games. But Ben Waldrom said the opposite. He said she's come up with some really big saves for this team and prepares with such a professionalism that's consistent game in, game out, and has a great knowledge of what the opposition is trying to do due to her experience. Couple seasons at Tennessee for Rice before transferring to Pitt. This is her second season with the Panthers. And you can see intensity picking up here in the late stages.
Certainly Nate Norman has one eye on the clock here at Ambrose Urbanic as we're approaching about 30 minutes left in the game coming up here. Doesn't, again, look like Engel is going to play. She's got the sneakers on. But certainly in a game that's also physical, you want to have those fresh legs in there. You want to have those fresh bodies in there. Because, yeah, Pitt doesn't have any games after this. Notre Dame still has games that they have to compete in. And not just one tournament with the ACC tournament.
Most important games of the season.
Sure, you have the NCAA tournament. And you have to find a way to stay healthy and get that rest in for those players. But, again, just no pressure for Pitt, playing with nothing to lose at this point except just wanting to have some positive momentum going into next season.
Ellermeyer looking for Wild. Wild strikes and too much on it. But the Panthers stringing some passes together on the chance.
And this is an area that Pitt has struggled with the entire season is the buildup. Oftentimes this season, Pitt has gotten the ball in the midfield, they've booted it, and they've lost possession. Well, in this game against, as we repeat, the #1 ranked team in the country, they're building up plays from, not just from the midfield, but out of the back to the midfield and finding their way into the attacking third. There weren't too many times this season that you saw the Panthers near the box, and they have just called the box their home tonight.
And naturally for Ben Waldron at this point in the year, when you know this is your last game of the season, no matter the outcome, it's all about taking positives that you can use to carry into next season. And that's something he's going to have a lot of here tonight. Pitt has done many things well. And with a young team that you expect will have a lot of returning players coming back for next year, plenty to be happy about to this point for Ben Waldron. But with 30 minutes remaining, they are not thinking about next year. They're thinking about pulling an upset on the #1 team in the country.
An aspect of the game that I think gets lost a lot in translation, especially in a game as sensitive as this, especially from a Notre Dame side, is Pitt is just doing everything possible to frustrate Notre Dame. At one point, Notre Dame had a free kick and Lola Abraham skipped over the ball to kind of waste a little bit of time. Previous play, Notre Dame gets a throw and Lucia Wells kind of juggles the ball a little bit in her hands before handing it over. So just little stuff like that that's going to get in Notre Dame's head.
Roy beats Abraham. Roy's cross deflected off of Wells and then back off of Roy to give the Panthers the goal kick. And one of those nights where it just seems nothing is going the way of the Irish. Normally you get a deflection on a cross, that's going out for a corner kick, but came off Wells and right back off Roy, and Nate Norman continues to look for answers. Wild switches all the way over to Abraham. Overlapping run coming from Ellermeyer. They go middle instead, and nothing doing there. But Dabo intercepts a pass. Archibald through to Ellermeyer and into the arms of Kasica. Just a little too much heat on it on the ball from midfield. Tempo the highest it's been all game. A quick counter from Notre Dame. Klenke crosses in. And up for it was Hodgson, but drifts out of play. And Archibald threading the needle there, but just too hot.
Yeah, and I think clearly, I think you can see that Ellermeyer's offside. So if she was able to get a touch on that, I think the flag would have gone up. But still, this is what you've been looking for all season if you're Ben Waldron and the coaching staff, and that you've been seeing in the last 3 or 4 games. Again, record might not have shown it, but Pitt fighting and staying alive in these games.
And Ben Waldron and the Panthers going to be chomping at the bit to get back at it for next year. When you come off of this season like this, and he's talked to us so much, Rachel, about his 2026 class he has coming in, and you combine those commitments with the players on the field right now that are going toe-to-toe with the #1 team in the country, he's going to have a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, and you're not really losing a lot of players as well. If you're Pitt, there's a couple seniors on this team, but not quite as heavy as a class as last year's. So a lot to build off of for the Panthers.
Shukru and Rice comes out. Prevent the danger. And on the flip side, Rachel, for Notre Dame, as much as they have offensively with supporting players like Chukwu and Codd, there comes a point where you start to wonder just how big a loss of Izzy Engel is. We knew it would be a big one, but expected to see a little bit more production offensively from that supporting cast. But as we head into the postseason, you wonder when Engel will be back. And again, good to see her standing up on the sideline with her team, but you're learning quickly just how critical she is to what they do.
I think a lot of teams across the ACC are going to look, and in the teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament who are going to have Notre Dame in their past. I almost went total like Hunchback of Notre Dame there with that pronunciation. Sorry about that. But they're going to put this game and they're going to put the last game against Wake Forest on for their film and say, okay, this is what happens when you take Izzy Engel out of a game.
Matriano switches all the way over to Roy. Roy with some room, now working on Wells. Cuts to the end line, cross in, Rice makes the stop.
All the saves don't have to be flashy, but that right there was a big save from Abby Rice. Roy trying to sneak it, thread the needle in a little bit. She beats Lucia Wells. She gets the ball past Olivia Lee, but the goalkeeper comes up big, making sure she can't just squeak that ball right in the near post.
Notre Dame with their 9th shot of the night, but the Panthers have 8. This has turned into a very even game. And if you're just now tuning in, if you've missed a lot of the action, this has not been a game where Pitt is parking the bus and Notre Dame just can't break through. These teams have each had their fair share of possession. They've had their fair share of chances, and Pitt is just hanging with the #1 team in the country. It's the only way to put it. It's been a battle for the entirety of the match, and both teams looking for that goal to put them ahead.
And I'll tell you what, if you look at the game log for this match, Notre Dame has made a lot of substitutions, and Pitt has only made 3 substitutions throughout the whole game. And Doney, Rollins, Minot, 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 6 minutes. So yeah. Ben Waldrum said, hey, you guys are holding Notre Dame to the 11 that are out there right now. You're holding Notre Dame unless you tell me you're staying in.
Wells going to shield off Roy and watch it go out for the goal kick. And 23 minutes to go, Rachel. You've got to think that Stanford fans and the Stanford team came into tonight thinking Notre Dame's taking on Pitt, one of the lower teams in the standings. We are most likely headed for the 2 seed in the conference tournament. But as we've stated, this conference can provide the unexpected, and suddenly all Cardinal fans are tuned into this game to see what's going to happen between #1 Notre Dame and Pittsburgh.
I would just love to be a fly on the wall in the locker room of Stanford when they turn this game on, just to see all the reactions. But to your point, as you said earlier, Jason, this is the ACC and anything can happen on any given night.
Here's Stelzer switching the field to Abraham. Abraham one-on-one with Roy. Roy pokes it out. Abraham gets it back. Abraham looking middle, slides it over to Stelzer. Stelzer looking to the outside. Gonna drop it back, Wild, and a sliding tackle made. Well done by Matriano. You know, we say that, Rachel, but then I wonder, Stanford has so many of these trophies. Do they need one more ACC regular season title?
Notre Dame's just like, come on, give us one of these.
Right. Hard tackle made there by Codd. Olivia Lee drew the foul for Pitt.
Margaret Wadd was a little slow to get up there on that last possession for Pitt, but able to get up back on her feet as Olivia Lee is fouled. She's used to it as a defender. The physical play kind of gave the referee a little bit of a look there saying, hey, come on now.
Well, that's part of wearing the armband, right? You have to be the one that knows how to negotiate with the officials to an extent. Olivia Lee making her 50th career start tonight. Her Panthers will make a substitution as Sophia Doney enters for Margaret Wild. And as good as Wild has been this year for Pitt, Doney gave them a bit of a spark in the first half. We'll see if she can do the same here in the second. Another foul drawn by the Panthers. Ellermeyer took the tackle from Joseph. Wells threading the needle down the line to Abraham. Panthers will reset. Scoreless game. Just about 20 minutes remaining from Ambrose Urbanic Field. Stelzer. Cross in. Ellermeyer drifts out. Abraham.
Another close chance here, just a little bit wide here for Lola Abraham, but smart of her to take that first touch and not let the Notre Dame defender catch up to her. But she's been playing more defensively tonight, but has since shifted up a little bit more in the attack. But throughout the season, Lola Abraham asked to do a lot more defensively for this Panthers team.
Back and forth action at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Now it's Klinke on Archibald. Klinke's cross. Well defended by the Panther right back. Mya Archibald prevents the corner kick, prevents the cross. And she has been put to the test tonight and risen to the occasion.
Yeah, Mya Archibald for me, for all of the solid work that Pitt has done in the midfield and on the attack, the defense has really shown tonight, and she has had her hands full tonight with this Notre Dame attack. Chukwu especially, but Mya Archibald and Sophie Rourke there in that center back pairing on the right. I think they have done a really, really good job tonight.
Klinke. Ball sent in. Wells was in the vicinity. Notre Dame maybe thought that she touched it with her hand, but nothing called. And the Irish will make a substitution as Abby Rice sets up the goal kick. Well, to Nate Norman's credit, he was not overlooking this Pitt team. He told us earlier in the week that he was always leery of teams that are far better than their record shows. He knew that Pitt was not going to make this an easy game, and he was right. Archibald pops it up. Now it's with Knapp. Knapp trying to settle with some pressure from Abraham. Panthers looking to tie or win against the #1 team in the country for the first time in the history of the program.
It's hard to believe that with all the frustrations this season for the Panthers that you can still make a bit of positive history and put something into the record book if this result or a goal happens to come their way.
Well, and if it does, Rachel, Ben Waldron can go into the locker room after tonight and say, as good as that team in 2023 was, as good as those teams that made the NCAA tournament were, and this Pitt team might not have been what they were record-wise, but he'll be able to say, you all did something that those teams did not do, and that's get a result against the #1 team in college soccer.
Exactly, and how good would that feel for this group that has been through a lot this year?
And they are 16 minutes away from doing just that, as suddenly the top of the ACC table has become very interesting. Stelzer has been slicing through Notre Dame defenders all night, but that time has it snuffed out. Rollins battling, and Wells wins it and pops it up to Doney. Both teams trying to get it to the ground and settle here. But a giveaway. Allermeyer had it. Now Wells.
This is where Pitt needs to be careful, right? In the last 15-ish minutes of the game, you know that Notre Dame is sounding the panic alarm. They're putting all their numbers up top. At some point within the last 5 minutes, you're going to see the goalkeeper get up here. But you have to be careful. Pitt has had really good possession in this game and has had really nice build-up. You can't just all of a sudden give all the momentum and let Notre Dame just work and pressure and just compound your goalkeeper and your defense, because that's going to tire them.
Restovich has a go, but not testing Rice all that much. "15 minutes remain at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Nate Norman, coach of the #1 team in the country, but tonight they haven't been able to find the answer against Pitt. It's an Irish team that comes in having scored 13 goals in their last 4 matches, but coming up empty in the 75 minutes so far in this one.
Nate Norman is making a case, and I think he's made the right one, that the ball went out. I didn't see who that was for Pitt, but Pitt player leapt up and got contact, and Norman was hollering there at the 4th referee, like, how is that not our ball? How is that not our ball? And he's a pretty calm guy on the sidelines, very, very jovial when we talk to him. But of course, you know, with the clock ticking down and the #1 spot in the ACC on the line, you want to have every ounce of possession that you can get.
And of course, there is certainly a relationship between these two coaching staffs as well. Randy Waldrum, the head technical director, former head coach of the Panthers, won 2 national titles at Notre Dame. He is bundled up tonight, but his son Ben, who's now the head coach of Pitt, was on staff with Randy at Notre Dame. And so you see what he accomplished, one of just a select few coaches to win multiple national titles since 2000. And Ben Waldrum told us, Rachel, he said, you know, it'd be interesting to see Nate Norman have to sweat a little bit and stress at the beginning of this game if they can keep it interesting. Well, they haven't only kept it interesting at the beginning. We are just about 77 minutes in, and we've got a game on our hands.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just rain from Nate Norman. I think there might be some sweat there for sure. I love talking with Ben Waldrum this week and him saying, it's nice being your dad's boss. I get to send him wherever I want now. And certainly after years upon years of being his assistant, and what a cool job being able to manage national teams and college teams and a professional team at one point. You know, just to have that experience, and now it's your turn at the helm. And of course, this season record-wise hasn't gone the way Pitt wanted, but a lot to build off of, a lot to work on.
Tackle one in the midfield by Restovich. Through ball to Chukwu. Rice is out. Chukwu knocks it, but just wide. In a collision at the 6 between Rice and Chukwu. Both teams looking on, Rice and Chukwu. And Chukwu is helped up. Rice is still down. She has been as impactful as any player in this game, and now she's going to get some attention from her Panther side.
Yeah, she gets looked at there by the medical staff. Christina Wolf warming up on the sideline for the Panthers. Freshman goalkeeper Christina Wolf, she's a tall player, and I remember at one point very, very early on in the season, Ben Waldrum said, we trust all of our goalkeepers. They all bring something very different to the table, but would be absolute chaos if all of a sudden you have to make a goalkeeper substitution. But Abby Rice is sitting up now, getting looked at by the trainer.
The backup keeper, Christina Wolf, has not made an appearance in any of Pitt's 17 games this season, tonight being the 18th game. We say in this sport and in this league, you never know what's going to happen. And we hope that Abby Rice is okay and able to continue, but if she is not, with 12 minutes remaining in the final game of Pitt's season, they may be calling on Christina Wolf to play goalkeeper.
Yeah, and this is one of those plays that, again, like we said, you just have to be careful if you're the Panthers. That was an inch or two away from Notre Dame getting on the board and taking that #1 spot in the ACC, but just happens to go wide. And Rice is up. She's shaking it off. It looks like she's going to be able to continue. Olivia Lee giving her goalkeeper a little bit of a pep talk, hyping her up. Doesn't take a lip reader to see Rice is saying, I'm fine, I'm fine. But now if you're Notre Dame, you see that a goalkeeper is rattled. And now you're going to want to put the pressure on even more as we have a video review.
You wonder what they're looking at here. Would have to think it's for a possible penalty against Rice. I'm not sure what else it could be, but Rice was the one that got injured on the play. Rachel, am I missing something else they could be looking at here?
No, I think they are looking for a possible penalty here, and my only guess for this would be Rice not getting a hand on the ball. But if you're watching the replay, Chukwu goes down before Rice even makes contact with her. So if this is a penalty, then I think the Pitt bench is going to just explode, and I think they would have every reason to, but Chukwu was already going down before Rice even considered making contact with her, and as a goalkeeper, you have that right to come off of your line and commit to making that tackle.
Yeah, I think whether she made contact there with Chukwu or not, I think it was clear that she was going for the ball, and whether she touched the ball or not, I'm with you. I don't see how you could give a penalty in that scenario, and certainly in a game like this that has been so back and forth, such a high quality match late in the season here, I would be surprised if it is deemed a penalty here.
This is something that I always like to remind people when it comes to video review, VAR, whatever you want to call it, is it has to be clear and obvious. And if it usually takes a long check, if it takes more than just like, say, 30, 40 seconds, then I think there's your answer. Is it clear and obvious? No.
So Nicole Green has had her look, and you see the thumbs up from Margaret Wild signaling to her team, seemingly that the penalty will not be given, and that is in fact the case. 12:40 on the clock after the collision between Chukwu and Rice. One of the more pivotal plays we've seen in the second half of this game. Abby Rice clearly shaken up by it. Officials had a look to see if this was a penalty. It was not. And we play on. 12:40 to go. Notre Dame playing for a share of the ACC title, and the Panthers trying to play spoiler and get a result against #1 for the first time in the history of the program.
Nate Norman having an extended conversation, too, with the referee. Still talking as she is jogging away. But to be honest with you, the Notre Dame players and the bench really didn't seem very, reactionary to the no penalty. I think they would have been surprised if it was given. But again, I think it came down to Chukwu was going down when her and Rice collided with each other. That's a 50-50 ball at the end of the day.
Yeah, no doubt. What a match it's been here at Ambrose Urbanic Field. And for any perhaps casual soccer fans out there who say 0-0 draws are not exciting, well, this is certainly proof of the contrary. Cross sent in. It came from Knapp. There was a deflection, and the official caught it. It's a Notre Dame corner kick. Just their third of the night. For a Notre Dame team that is so used to generating offensive chances, they've been few and far between in moments tonight. But now it's Lainey Matriano. She'll take it for the Irish with 7 assists on the season. Big opportunity here. Far post cross. Touch back towards the middle. Knapp on it. Bouncing around, and Rice scoops it up.
I'm a broken record here, but Pitt just needs to be careful with how they're possessing the ball right now. Especially now that here's an added layer. You got a beat up goalkeeper on your hands, and you have to have a clearance here, and a clean one at that. At this point, if the ball's bobbing in the box, you need to just boot that thing out of there.
And a whistle's going to blow here because Margaret Wild took a ball to the head. Good to see that she is up quickly, but Abby Mills, the Notre Dame center back, was trying to make a clearance. And of course, anytime you have a possible injury to the head, it's going to get looked at. So Wild is now being tended to. And here it is, the clearance from Mills right into the side of the head of Margaret Wild. And so on comes Sophia Doney. And again, good to see Wild on her feet and trotting off.
And smart of Pitt to just make a quick substitution here instead of just waiting for Wild to get checked out and then have her quickly re-enter the game. You don't want to have any point in this game where Notre Dame has 11 players on the pitch and Pitt only has 10. So going through the concussion protocols over there, and like you said, good to see Margaret Wild up and at 'em.
Klinke one-on-one with Archibald. Cross sent in, far post, headed over the bar. Won't be many better opportunities than that one for Ellie Hodgson in the Irish. But can't quite capitalize, and we stay scoreless.
Great ball in from Klinke too. She had a nice little move against Archibald. That is just so hard to get your head on and lower your head on frame. You can see her head was tilted at an awkward angle, but you said it, Jason, that might have been one of their best chances, one of their cleanest best chances of the second half.
Absolutely tremendous service on the outside from Klinke, and they go right back to her here. 2 Panthers defending her, and Ellermeyer tripped her up from behind. Ellermeyer fighting the call, but it's going to be a Notre Dame free kick in a dangerous spot from the flank. And with 10 minutes remaining, it looks like it will come from Leah Klinke. Both teams trying to organize. 2 in the wall for the Panthers are Gagne and Ellermeyer.
Every single Pitt player here playing defense right now.
Klinke going to give it over to Joseph instead to take the free kick. They'll have a right-footed attempt here from the sophomore Lily Joseph. Ball sent towards the back post, headed up and away, bouncing around the box. Both teams trying to get possession, and it's Wild who heads it up and out for Pitt. And now a chance, Chukwu running on, the flag stays down. Chukwu on lead, drops it back, Klinke shoots, and it's wide again, deflected out for a corner.
Pitt is going against all of my advice and not being very careful with the ball here. It almost seems like they're kind of scrambling on defense right now. Just shot after shot against the Panthers defense. That's only going to tire them out as the clock ticks.
Rice punches up, and Chukwu punches into the arms of Rice. Notre Dame knocking on the door, but the Panthers hold firm again.
I'm sure Jesse Goldman, Pitt's goalkeeper coach, was holding his breath there when he saw the initial punch. You got to get up there and grab that ball, and Rice just lucky that Chukwu's header was able to go right into her arms.
Panthers relieved to finally clear it out of their own half here. Notre Dame really was pounding on the door with consecutive corners in the Pitt area. Rollins hustling back. Working on Hodgson. Hodgson comes up with it. It's Klinke on Archibald. Slicing through, gets the cross off, and Wells comes up to head it. Hodgson shoots and wide again.
We said Chukwu was knocking on the door. Well, Hodgson has been knocking on the door as well. And you got to think Nate Norman's standing here wondering, what more can we do in this last 20 minutes? It is really just the tide has shifted from all Pitt to really all Notre Dame. And just another shot that goes wide for the Fighting Irish. But, I mean, look at that, 16-9 shots. And
felt like it was 9-9 a few minutes ago,
yeah,
right?
really, seriously. I mean, it just... If this game ends up with this score, Nate Norman's going to be leaving Ambrose Urbanic Field wondering, I don't know what more we could have done.
Notre Dame, no doubt their best series of offense of the entire match came in the last few moments, but the score stays 0-0. Ellie Hodgson has had a number of chances, none better than the header from just a few yards out that sailed over the crossbar. 6 goals on the season for Hodgson, but unable to find the one to separate Notre Dame tonight. Here's Gagne. Pressure on her. She drops it back to Archibald. Looking for Wild, but Mills has been very steady for Notre Dame defensively. Hodgson at the center of the Notre Dame counter. Runner on the outside is Roy. Can't get it to her. Tackle made by Lucia Wells. And now the Panthers trying a counter of their own with Abraham. Under 7 minutes to go. Excellent defense there by Claire Logan, but she does concede the Pitt corner. Look at the big time play from Lucia Wells.
She can do it all. She can play offense. She can play defense. And now you can see Magali Gagne taking a nice stroll over to the corner flag.
Notre Dame certainly the team that needs the win more, but the Panthers with the corner from Gagne. And a wasted ball that went too far into the near post. Six minutes to go. Both teams looking for the answer. Wild touches right to Kasica and skipped right into her knees. Able to make the block, but a tricky play there. Notre Dame trying to get out of their own half.
Big kick from Dabo there.
Five and a half minutes remaining, and a lot of these players have been in for the entire match. It's been raining for pretty much the entire last 2 hours. But these teams tonight, with a lot to battle for in the last 5 minutes. Panthers have not had the season they've wanted, but they can end it on an extremely high note and make history if they can survive the last few minutes. Meanwhile, Notre Dame has a conference title on the line. Dabo to Ellermeyer. One more to Abraham. Abraham. Deflection off Notre Dame, and it's out for the Pitt corner.
Pretty unselfish there from the freshman Katie Ellermeyer to slot the ball over to sophomore Lola Abraham. If I was Ellermeyer, I probably would have taken that shot, but the goods have been produced and able to get a corner now. And can Pitt do something with this? Set pieces have been a struggle for them this year.
Corner taken by Wild. Hit it in! Can you believe it? Pittsburgh, against the #1 team in the land, strikes with under 5 minutes to go.
And that says it all. The whole team running over to celebrate. Ben Waldron making his way over. Nate Norman's face says it all. I think that was Mya Archibald for all of the excellence that she displayed tonight on defense. She has easily been the player of the match so far. And to be able to come up in a moment like this, she sneaks her way to the front. Did you see her walk up? Just sneaking her way up there. And wow, that is a big time play in a big time moment, and just shocking. Shocking.
It's been a back and forth game. Both teams have had their chances, but it's the Panthers who strike with less than 5 minutes remaining. The 86th minute goal headed in by Mya Archibald. Now it's Chukwu, and Rice comes out to keep the Panthers ahead.
Plenty of smiles on the Pitt bench, but they still have about 3 minutes, 30 seconds that they have to stay focused and lock in. And
once again, they're trying to squeeze it through to Chukwu, but Rice aggressively comes out to make the stop. Ellie Caulfield, as elated as just about anyone here at Ambrose Urbanic Field. She's had some special moments with this program, but no Pitt team has ever beaten number one, and the Panthers are 3 minutes away. Pitt head coach Ben Waldron took over this team with his father when they had never won a single ACC game. They've had some lows, they had some highs, and tonight they are moments away from making more history. A remarkable atmosphere here at Ambrose Urbanic Field. Cold temperatures, precipitation all night, not keeping the fans away from witnessing a historic moment that's just 2 minutes away for Pitt soccer. Abraham now off to the races. She finds an angle. Abraham, great defense by Calzada for the Irish.
yeah, Pitt's going to take their sweet time getting over there to get this throw in. A minute and change left for history.
Wild fighting in the corner. The Irish come up with it. Notre Dame and Nate Norman looking for any type of answer as we approach the 1 minute mark to go in the second half.
Boy, Pitt is making Notre Dame just run for the ball. They are not giving anything easy by any means.
Montriano going to be halted by the referee. Clock stops with 29 seconds to go. The Irish are going to have time for one last push. Sonoma Cassica sends it forward. Rourke defending, Lee clearing. Ellermeyer the big clearance. Cassica all the way to midfield. Last chance for the Irish. Rourke heads it away. Roy on the outside. Wells defends it. And in a league where you learn to expect the unexpected, I don't know if anyone expected this. The Pitt Panthers, 1-0 winners over Notre Dame, and they have a win over number 1 for the first time in their history.